a couple of months ago to my buddy who's sitting out here. I popped off at him pretty hard one day, and I didn't mean to. I had a lot of stress going on in my life, and it had nothing to do with him. I just kind of snapped real quick, and then I caught myself. I'm like, hey, dude, sorry. But if that issue's not addressed real fast, well, all of a sudden that can start festering, and that seed can bubble and grow and start growing into this wild wisteria of madness where all of a sudden we don't like each other anymore. Nobody can read your mind, so we have to learn how to communicate really well. You know, when that feeling that you have when you need to talk to somebody and you got something really important you want to say and get off your chest. And like for me, I'll take a little stroll around here at the farm, or I'll sit and think for a little while, and we think, oh man, I got all my thoughts together. You know, I'm ready to say the right things. I'm ready to do, I can just picture it all in my mind, exactly how it's going to go. And I just know for a fact, I'm just knock it out of the park. I'm going to be able to say everything just right. And then what happens? You walk into the room, you smile, you nod, and you walk out of the room, nothing happens. Or you end up saying the absolutely wrong things at the wrong time, and it all gets screwed up. Like, we've all done this quite a lot. And that's what actually happens more often than not. And then sometimes we walk into the room, and then what happens? Oh God, we don't even say anything because you can tell your spouse or your girlfriend or your husband or whatever is not receptive to anything that you want to say. So then we fear that, and then we don't even say or do anything. And then that ends up compounding things in life and makes it much more harder than it has to be. Oftentimes we have a plan and we don't have any follow through. We figured out what to say and we didn't say it. We thought about saying it, we feared saying it, and we still didn't say it. Or we allow our old emotions, old forms of behavior take over us and end up saying everything that we never wanted to say in the first place. And we say it completely incorrectly, and we don't express ourselves meaningfully how we need to. And so then what happens? All of a sudden we still got all this weight on our shoulders. We're still all stressed out. We're like, oh God, I meant to say all these things and I didn't say it right, and I pissed them off more, or I pissed myself off. And then there's no alleviation of the problem. There's no alleviation of any of the stress. So the lack of communication, it's an issue. And it's a lack of, it equals a lack of what you want or what you need. You never get it. You don't get it. If you can't communicate what you need and want from your partner, your son, your daughter, your co-workers, if you can't ask correctly, well, you don't get it. And if you ask and the answer is no, then you need to reevaluate how you approach the situation to begin with. And if you don't share your thoughts and emotions, then it's impossible to have a relationship that you want with anybody, whether it's a friend, husband, wife, kids, whoever. So if this is what happens when you talk to your loved one at home, you have a lot more bigger issues than just learning how to communicate. Communication is a two-way street. You have to have both parties equally willing to talk and communicate openly and honestly, and that have a practice of listening. Because if we can't practice listening, then we don't hear each other. If I walk up to my buddy sitting out here and I start getting upset with him, well, he shuts down. He's not going to listen to me. And if he comes at me, repeating himself a million times over and over and over again, this and everything, well, I don't understand what he says, and I start to get shut down. This happens on a regular basis with all of us when we fail to learn how to communicate and listen. Now, if both people are not active listeners with care, then there is no communication. There's nothing. You should not even talk. If the other person cannot listen to you, refuses to listen to you, does not want to listen to you, then you do not have a relationship. It does not exist. So good luck with you on that one. That's for another podcast at another time. But if you need help, how do you ask for help? You ask your buddies, like, hey man, I need some help cutting grass. I need some help doing a task. I need some help doing X, Y, and Z. Well, that's what friends are for. That's why we have friends. We have friends so we can count on each other and build each other up and help each other. Unless there's a really valid reason, nobody should ever get their feelings hurt over somebody not being able to help each other. But at the same time, that's what friends are for. That's what spouses are for. That's what kids are for, to help each other. And you can't get help if you don't ask, if you don't communicate it clearly, if you don't clearly state what it is that you want and need out of the people that you care about. And unless someone knows you need help, you want to talk, you want to work through whatever issues, anything, they cannot help you because they don't know, because you did not express yourself, or they were just willfully ignorant and they didn't want to pay attention to you. Then you got to reassess, were they even my friends in the first place? That's a big issue to consider. But why would we express ourselves? It's for all the reasons I just said, but it's to avoid an issue from turning into something larger. If we got something on our mind and we don't let it out, and get to the point pretty quick, it starts festering. Like, I think I was a rude ass a couple of months ago to my buddy who's sitting out here. I popped off at him pretty hard one day, and I didn't mean to. I had a lot of stress going on in my life, and it had nothing to do with him. I just kind of snapped real quick. And then I caught myself, and I'm like, hey, dude, sorry. But if that issue's not addressed real fast, well, all of a sudden that can start festering, and that seed can bubble and grow and start growing into this wild wisteria of madness where all of a sudden we don't like each other anymore. And there's no need for that when we have the ability to communicate as reasonable, rational adults, and then to keep and maintain good relationships. And then we're smart people, all of us. So we have the ability to reason and understand a situation and to better evaluate, if this person, if this is my fault, is this a mutually beneficial relationship? Are we here to help each other, or is this one-sided? Those are things we got to consider whenever we're trying to communicate with people and to communicate with ourselves. And the much bigger issue is communicating and listening to yourself. We all got these angels and demons all over us. Angels and demons. We gotta, oh God, let's go out and have a couple of drinks, and then let's turn that into a whole night of debauchery. Well, that's probably a bad idea. It's probably a real bad idea. Man, I sure do want that piece of that cake, but I've already gained a lot of weight, and I know I'm not taking good care of myself, so one side of me is going, oh, it's not going to hurt you to have one more bite, and the other side's going, come on, dude, you're hurting yourself. So we got to figure out that, hey, we got some demons inside of us, but we also got some friends. And the friends inside of us, we need to love on them and let them know how important they are to us, because that guy that tells me, hey, you've had one too many tonight, that's enough. I need to listen to that guy. I don't need to listen to the other guy that says, oh, come on, let's pound some more. Nah, that's probably a pretty bad idea. It's probably really a bad idea to overeat, to not go exercise, to not take a walk. Sometimes I'll be sitting at the study in my office and I'll go, man, my legs feel tight. My body's telling me I need to go walk. But I'm like, nah. The other guy inside of me says, nah, just sit here. This is so much more comfortable. It's kind of nice in here. The weather's a little cold outside. Let's don't go do that. But I should listen to that other guy inside of me, because he knows best. He knows I need to get off my butt and go take a little stroll. So if I can't communicate with myself and be the mediator, my logic and my reason and my understanding be the mediator between these competing forces inside of me, then how am I going to ever be able to communicate with anybody else if I can't communicate with myself? Because if you can't sit in open, honest communication with yourself, how the heck are you ever going to be able to express yourself meaningfully and successfully to anybody else? You just can't do it. It's a lie. So if you can't respect and love yourself in all aspects of your life, then why should anybody else respect and love you? It's a really valid question. If I can't respect myself enough to go, you know what, that's enough of that cake. You know what, I do need to go take a little stroll. I do need to tell the people around me that I appreciate and love them. I do probably need to not drink that much. I probably need to take care of myself, because if I don't love and respect myself, I can't ask anybody else to love and respect me either. And if this is how our mind is, all crazy, scatterbrained, shredded into a million pieces, if we can't understand ourselves, we can't expect anybody else to understand us either. And if we can't communicate clearly, if we're scatterbrained like crazy, how can anybody else understand our thoughts, our wants, our desires, our wishes? How? How can we do it? We have to be able to start openly and honestly communicating with ourselves. And sometimes that's painful and it hurts, because nobody likes looking at themselves and going, oh God, that really is me. I really do act that way sometimes. I really do not take care of myself, but I expect everybody else to take care of me. Like we're all responsible for that. And it's growingly becoming an increasing problem in this country of nobody looking at themselves, other than vanity and trying to get likes on social media or some kind of BS crud like that. But we have to listen to ourselves. It allows you to better listen to others. If you can start listening to yourself and nurturing your emotions and forgiving yourself for what you've done to yourself and to others, then that allows us to forgive and love other people. If your body is telling you that things are wrong, then you got to listen to it. How can we fix our bodies or ourselves if we're not listening to ourselves trying to communicate? If you can't be a friend to yourselves, you can't be a friend to anybody else. You can't. It's impossible. And if you don't understand yourself and make efforts to understand yourself, then nobody else will ever know you. How can they know you if you don't even know who you are? There's nothing to know. In the absence of self-knowledge, there's nothing to know about yourself except you are a confusing and frustrated person, and it's difficult to be around you. That becomes problematic for all of us, because there are all the times we've questioned ourselves. I question myself. I'm like, God, is this really me? Do I really act this way, or do I do this thing? And a lot of times the answer is like, oh God, I did do that. I was that arrogant punk. I was this thing. And until we start to understand that, if we don't know ourselves, nobody else can ever know us either. And most everyone is confused. And most people don't even know they're confused. And most don't know what questions to ask themselves anyway. And that's a problem. And this begins to take us on to a whole bunch of different fundamental questions, and that's a discussion for another podcast at another time. But this is what most of us look like all the time. About everything. Oh God. Just we're scratching our heads, rubbing all the time. What are we doing? Where are we at? Who am I? Why is life this way? Why am I so frustrated? Why do we stay so confused? Did I do that? Did I overeat? Did I just cheat? No, God, why did I just cheat? Why did I just drink myself into oblivion? What am I trying to cover up with myself by doing all these things? What voids am I trying to fill? Why did I just lie about that thing? Why am I hurtful to my spouse or my friends? Why am I knowingly sort of believing lies that I tell myself or my spouse or my friends? And why do I not have any self-control? And why do I lie to myself? Like we do those things. Why? What voids are we trying to fill? And we all know there's a lot more about us that we could go into, but we're not right now. We think we can communicate, then we often don't. We like to think that we're all smart people and that we can sit down and have a reasonable discussion. A lot of times we can, and a lot of times we can't, because we either come across in a forceful, rude way. We don't come from a place of an open heart, of really valuable consideration for the other person's feelings. And because of past experiences, the other person may not want to listen to us in the first place. You know, they're tired of our old crap, so they don't want to listen to us, and they don't trust us to begin with. There's a lot of problems in communication. And we don't listen to ourselves, so how can we fully listen to others? Our minds stay cluttered, and so ultimately we don't even know who we are. Or at best, we have a delusional notion of who we are. That image that we portray out into the world, that we pretend to be. Some of our past experiences that we like to define as who we are. Well, that's none of us. And these things are true. We all know they're true. So if we don't listen to ourselves, we don't know ourselves, we don't know how to communicate clearly to ourselves and others, then how can we communicate with the source of all things, God? If we don't even understand our own thoughts, what do? Are we like beggars on the street asking for some handout? Like, come on, God, give me a handout, but I don't even know what I'm asking, God, because I don't even know what I need or want, because I can't even talk to myself. If I can't even talk to myself and others in meaningful ways that I fully understand, am I supposed just to get a hall pass and free? Like, oh, I'm going to rely on that infinite source, that intelligence of all things to fix it all for me. And I think that is a very dangerous road to go down, because God, infinite intelligence, gave us the ability and the tools to fix ourselves, to learn how to do things on our own. He didn't give us that communication, that line, in my estimation, for us to have a handout and a crutch for the Almighty. He already gave it to us. He's like, there's your tool, pal. And what are you praying to me for? I already gave you everything you needed. And we wonder why there's so much evil and messed up stuff all in the world. It's because I already gave it to you. I already gave it to you. Y'all are just screwing it up. Know yourself to know others. Know yourself to better have a relationship with the infinite, to everybody that you love. And we're going to dive deeper into these subjects in great detail in the coming weeks. So I encourage you to come see us. We're here. We're 30 minutes from Shreveport, 25 minutes from Marshall. We're here every Sunday at 1:30. And the first Sunday of every month is it's an event day. We're having an outside event day next Sunday. We had an inside event day a few weeks ago. We had a massive crowd. Thank all y'all for coming out. It ended up being an outside game too, because it was so pretty outside. Well, we're having a redo of that, so I invite all y'all to come out. We really appreciate it. And if you got value out of this and you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, share it. It's greatly appreciated. We'll see y'all next time.